I'm sorry. I'm not sure what you're asking for. Could you please provide more context or information? I still don't understand your request. Could you please try rephrasing your question or providing more clarity? As you take a blow to the back of your neck, you gasp for air, frantically waving your arms side to side for support, but nothing is found. Without any leg strength to persevere, your body stumbles forward as you lay flat on your face, struggling to move. Your eyesight blurs and your body aches with pain. Finally, the moment comes when you can no longer move or even speak. As you gaze upon the reflection in the water, you realize you have come to the end of the line. He tried to ponder about all of this for just a second. But the clarity of what he saw in front of him eliminated all other thoughts. What he saw simply made no sense. He had no strength left to question why and how as he was slowly approaching his inevitable end. Just then, he noticed a pool of water. And as it got illuminated by the rays of May's morning sun, it moved away, revealing his own reflection. It couldn't belong to a killer. Only Azrael, he thought. Disguised as him. He was at the end of his sins. And so was Azrael for him. His heart struggled to pump blood to the last 2 points that were still alive in his body. His lungs and his brain. But the futile attempt had no results. And he was already drifting into nothingness. In that last moment, a hidden memory surfaced in his brain. And he struggled to call out a word as the last effort before his body failed him. He failed to know whether he opened his mouth or spoke at all. But he managed to discern sympathy in the eyes he saw. And he knew that he had done the right thing. As he let out his last breath, he heard a sound echoing in the air, "Sorry." His heart was struggling to pump blood to the last 2 points that were still alive in his body. His lungs and his brain. The wounds in his body were taking away his last breaths. And he could barely hold on. But in that moment of despair, a hidden memory surfaced in his brain. He tried to call out a word. To cling onto something that had meaning. But it was too late. He could only discern a sympathetic gaze in the eyes that looked back at him as he took his last breath. As he let go of his mortal body, a sound echoed in the air, "Sorry." His heart was still struggling to pump blood to the 2 remaining points in his body. His lungs and his brain. The wounds in his body were bleeding profusely, draining the last of his strength. He could hardly breathe and his mind was already drifting in emptiness. But in the last moment, as he was taking his final breaths, his brain struggled to regain focus. A deep-seated memory came rushing back to him, unraveling everything. As he looked upon his own reflection in the eyes that were staring back at him, he had no strength to ask why. He simply accepted the truth and tried to utter a few words. He was unsure if he opened his lips or spoke at all. But with an understanding gaze looking back at him, he knew he had done the right thing. He made an effort to repeat his words, either to truly feel them or to believe in them. But with that attempt came the end. His body had finally reached its last breath. And as he exhaled, a sound emerged from his lips, "Sorry."